Not going to tell the Orioles how to do their job, but maybe you want to send out those season ticket renewals? This is Cory, and this is the Other Other Podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob.
That's Rob's sick voice.
Yes, I'm very sickly, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because as I was explaining to you before we began, an adult woman sneezed on me.
It's what we like to call the plague.
Zika. I have Zika virus.
Quote unquote, the plague.
Yeah. No,
Well, thank God I'm just in close proximity to you.
Anyway.
On a microphone that I'll use at some point. It'll just live forever on that.
During the midst of a trial, the client tapped me, and I leaned over, and she sneezed on me, and then apologized, and then told me what she had to say.
Did I ever tell you about the story of the stripper who coughed on me?
Yes.
So quick sidebar for the
already off the top
for the people who don't know this story. I went to the first time I ever went to a strip club. I was there with my buddy Brian, and
21 years old.
Yep.
Yeah.
18.
So that's right. Yeah. No alcohol. 18.
I turned 18, so he was like, "We gotta go to the strip club," because nobody else was 18 yet. And
you went on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And he sat down, and some fine enough looking woman sat down next to him.
Yeah. And
I was just like, oh, hey, good for him. And then some 97-year-old woman sat down next to me, and she's just like, hey, honey, how you doing? And, like, it's horrible and unpleasant, and I don't know any of how strip clubs work at this point. So, like, when the bartender's like, you want to buy the lady a drink? I'm just like, yeah, sure. What's another $7? And then she puts down, like, seltzer, and it's, like, $80. And I'm like... But anyway, eventually she leans over to me, and she goes... blowjob and a fuck. It just like coughs directly in my face, and I'm like, oh, blah, blah. And that would cost like $30, and I was just like, that's not a buyer's price. It's a bear market on blowjobs. That's not.
I disagree. I think that is a buyer's price.
Yeah, sure. You could potentially be voting today if you live in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Yesterday. No, today.
Today? Oh. So you could potentially be voting.
Not going to matter.
Who's got time for that boring ass shit? OJ Simpson is on tonight!
Yes.
If you're listening to it when we drop it.
Yes.
Obviously.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, because we're great. But People versus OJ Simpson. American crime story.
The most riveting television I have watched in a very long time. On actual TV.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think it was my first take to you.
Yeah.
And that is, why the fuck isn't this on something that streams? Like, God, I would binge this over and over again until I died.
I think they know. They got us. It's so good. It's so star-studded that they're just like, nope. And do you remember the OJ trial?
I mean, roughly. Okay. I was 10 years old, so I don't, like...
I had my tonsils out. And the day I came home from the hospital was the first day of the OJ Simpson trial. So I had 14 days in a row that I couldn't go to school, and I was at my grandmother's house. And, of course, she was pissed because it was interrupting her stories. Mm-hmm. But I watched the trial as it was ongoing. And I think...
It's at that moment that Rob decided he wanted to be a lawyer.
No,
he's like Robert Shapiro. He's just like, I need to be that.
No, it was
How do I
actually
get myself a piece of that?
Robert Kardashian who inspired me. That skunk look in his hair. I just was like, I want to be that guy. But so I remember.
How do I marry somebody who's going to become the future emperor of the world?
The emperor of the empire. Yeah. But so I remember it, and the thing is, obviously we were 10, so for us it was like a big deal, but it wasn't 9/11, which was the next kind of big social. But it turned out to be, I guess, not as important. I mean, I feel like by the end of the decade, we were just like, OJ? But...
I still think of OJ from time to time.
I think a lot of other celebrities went crazy and did crazy, murderous stuff. And so it became more normal. And we also just took nobodies and made them stars because they were in court cases. Like, Court TV popped up.
Right.
And then, like, Casey Anthony is a famous person, and Scott Peterson's a famous person.
Yeah, but all those people sort of, like, they live and die. Like,
right.
They come into the limelight and they fade away. Like, the fact that there was so much going on with OJ, like, sort of in the periphery, made it, like, something that we'll never...
Well, I guarantee you.
Like, if you landed a really, like, prior to OJ coming back sort of into the mainstream with the show, like, if you dropped some sort of OJ Simpson joke, like, people would get it. Like,
Right.
if I made a Casey Anthony joke, like, people wouldn't necessarily, like, oh, yeah, I followed Casey Anthony the whole time. Like, no, you know.
Well, I think also if he had been found guilty, it would have been a huge thing for us. And maybe that was it. It was more the thought of, if he's guilty, cities are going to burn again. It's going to be Rodney King all over. And then, but he wasn't. So it didn't turn into as big of a cultural thing as we thought it would. But you know what is that big of a cultural thing? The show. Because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I learned all this new stuff that I had no idea of.
Well, and I read an interview from Marcia Clark where she basically said, they asked her, like, so how realistic was episode 1?
Yeah.
She's like, well, you know, they took some liberties. There were some things that didn't happen the way they said.
I'm not a cold, hard bitch, okay?
Well, no, she was just like, you know, like, they came up to me and said that, like, you know, he's going to be your co-counsel, but, like, I actually asked for him, and, like, you know, things like that. And things they made assumptions on, I guess, based off of the fact that nobody else was in the room, so they had to sort of connect dots.
And her personality would say that she's not one who wants a co-counsel, so
Right.
this is how it must have gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, all right, well, I mean, that seems sort of like here and there. And she's like, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was fine. Like, I didn't take any, like, broad exception to it, so.
Well, that says something about the writers. That they did a really good job.
Yeah.
But, I mean, things like, I didn't know Cochran knew Christopher Darden beforehand.
Yeah, I
But
didn't know that.
apparently they were buddies. And, by the way, spoiler alert. Sorry. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the first episode, what are you doing with your life? Watch it. It'll be on before the second episode is tonight, so you get a good chance to do that. But, like, Robert Kardashian, for some reason I thought he was brought on because he was a lawyer. And he was like a super lawyer. No, not at all. He was OJ's friend.
Yeah.
And
I knew that part.
see, I didn't realize that. And I thought that he was actually just like a lawyer.
I didn't know he wasn't practicing anymore. I
Right.
thought he basically just joined in, and I didn't know he didn't do criminal cases.
Right. Yeah.
Those parts were new, but I knew he was OJ's friend, and that's part of the reason why he got involved.
I also didn't know that he called him Juice all the time.
Yeah. And I also didn't know that OJ tried to shoot himself in Kim Kardashian's room, which might have put an end to our national.
A word?
Yeah.
I wonder if
If
she
we had
knew
a
that.
traumatized Kim Kardashian, then
She would have started sucking dick a lot earlier, and then it wouldn't have been mattered. So, but no, I wonder if she knew that. That's the kind of thing that, like, you wonder if she watches it. If they watch it and they were like, I don't remember going to that funeral. Or I do, but I didn't realize it was that big a deal. Like, Mom's friend died.
They probably don't watch it, but somebody who works for them watches it and then just relays, like,
Right, yeah.
so you were mentioned at the funeral.
Yeah.
They mentioned your name when OJ had a gun in his mouth.
Was about to kill himself in your room. Yeah.
It's like, wait, what?
But I also, for some
What
reason,
happened?
I don't know. I think the writing was excellent because by the end of the episode, they had covered almost nothing. The murder and then the next day is really all that they covered.
Right.
And I'm like, he's going, like, the Bronco is gone, and then end of episode. I'm like, what? We've covered nothing.
Right.
But it was riveting the entire time.
Do you know how many episodes it's supposed to be? 10?
Yeah. It's going to be cool.
So I don't know if anybody watched it, but on Sunday the Super Bowl happened.
Oh,
You remember?
Oh, you mean that the American sports thing, and all the cosplayers were getting real serious about it?
Yeah, that's not even important. OJ Simpson.
Yes.
No, so the Super Bowl happened. We are recording on Saturday.
Obviously, before the Super Bowl. Yeah.
So, we don't know what happened.
Oh, that's not true.
But, in fact, we do know what happened.
Absolutely.
If you listened last year...
and why wouldn't you?
At this time, there was a special episode, or a special segment we did, where we did the highlight reel of the game, without having seen it. And... I'm not gonna lie.
So
I mean,
stupid.
it was a little bit over the top. It was a little bit exaggerated.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was close enough, and at the end of the day, we predicted the Patriots were going to win in a close game.
Yeah, we did.
So, what more do you want?
On the nose.
So, we figured we'd relive that moment and do it with the Super Bowl this year.
Yay! So, sickly gonna stumble through it.
Rob is going to try his best.
Yes. Ugh.
I wonder how loud this is going to be now that I've adjusted.
Do you not remember where you put it?
No.
Professionalism.
Hi, welcome to the Anthem podcast, where our middle name is Professionals.
Yeah.
So yes, Sports Ball Nightly.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dan Rydell, Casey Bacall.
That's a deep pull that most people are not going to get.
They're like, what? Yep, here we go.
All right.
Super Bowl 50 live from Santa Clara, California, which, by the way, is an hour outside of San Francisco, for the Denver Broncos versus the Carolina Panthers. First offensive play, and the pocket collapses around Peyton Manning, and he is sacked to death. In comes an HGH-riddled Ashley Manning, who leads the Broncos down the field with their superhuman, completely legitimate strength. Broncos lead Panthers 7-0.
End of the first quarter, Jonathan Stewart breaks a tackle and has nothing but open field in front of him. This play, which started on the Carolina 1-yard line, has a chance to be a 99-yard touchdown run. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10... Suddenly, he stops at the 1-yard line and lays down before the touchdown. Next play, Mike Tolbert punches it in for a touchdown, and the Carolina Panthers tie it 7-7 on a fuck your fantasy team special.
Halftime show, 115 million people switch over to the Puppy Bowl because fuck Coldplay. Plus, tired of supporting Roger Goodell even a little bit.
Out of the tunnel for the second half, Cam Newton with a brilliant read on a safety screen, reading the wide receiver post at the exact moment the linebacker drops underneath for coverage. The foresight and the athletic prowess of Newton leads to another Panthers touchdown that will be minimalized to I hate black people by half of Twitter in seconds.
24-14, and the Broncos line up for a long field goal that sails through the uprights and ruled no good. Gary Kubiak immediately challenges the play, and the head referee takes a 2-minute break under the review hood to go away Baton and get the NFL another commercial break. Of course, the play stands because the referees are terrible at their jobs.
Early fourth, Ashley Manning finds Emmanuel Sanders on a fade route to bring the ball to the 15 and eventually have to settle for a field goal. This kick actually misses, but they give it to the Broncos anyway because #makeup call.
End of the fourth, Ashley Manning is leading the Broncos down the field in a masterful 2-minute drill, using her 24-inch pythons to drop bombs all over the place. Closing seconds, she simmers the ball into the hands of Demaryius Thomas for a touchdown. Unfortunately for the Broncos, they choose to run a quarterback kneel rather than kick the extra point. Doesn't matter to the NFL because the Broncos covered the spread and cost people a lot of money. Carolina Panthers are the Super Bowl champs.
Woo!
Hit the post!
Hit the post!
So yeah, if you're wondering, we are predicting that the Carolina Panthers are going to win, but not by much.
No.
And if you're a gambling person, you might want to put the money on the Broncos.
Well, speaking of other things that we really don't care about, Iowa had a caucus this past week, and New Hampshire is having their primary today.
Iowa had a caucus, quote-unquote, Ted Cruz won, quote-unquote, Hillary Clinton won.
And that's the state of American politics today. Nothing is secure. Well, Hillary Clinton theoretically did win. Any allegations of fraud aside, she won it on 6 coin tosses.
The people who are very supportive of Hillary Clinton no matter what.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything she could do to make them not?
She could shoot a man on Fifth Avenue.
I would almost imagine that if, like, much like we talk about Trump, like, not being able to do anything to lose support.
Yeah.
I imagine if Hillary Clinton just, like, went out for, like, a speech and she says, like, "Hail Satan!" Like, she wouldn't lose any vote that she was already going to get.
And the defenders. Listen, we have freedom of religion in this country, and
I don't know if you heard about this.
And I don't care who she worships, as long as she is doing good work in the things that I want her to do good work in. That's really, and I mean, that's it. That's the whole thing.
Who cares how much money she took from a bank?
Oh, God. Well, and so let's see. Let's start with the Democrats in Iowa.
Okay. No more Martin O'Malley.
Oh. And that's and my favorite. It's an ugly cry.
I know. I'm doing Martin O'Malley tears.
My favorite thing is the thing that you shared to me, which was Bart and Nelson rolling their fruit down the aisle. And it's like, "Go Hillary, go Bernie," and then Ralph, go O'Malley, plunk, and the banana. So
I can't remember who. I heard it on a podcast somewhere, so I feel bad that I'm not attributing them directly, Sarah Koenig. But there was somebody who was talking about if you're in the O'Malley campaign, don't you imagine at some point you would just call, like, the news networks and be like, listen, I'm out of it. There's no need to put, like, 49% Hillary, 49% Bernie, 0.6% O'Malley. Can we just, can we just drop my name on that list?
Yeah.
I'm not in it anymore, so just... like, all night he has to look at that, like...
And, well, in another episode of We Called It, what was your prediction last week?
That he'd be done by 8 o'clock.
And what time did he talk about suspending his campaign?
I think it was about 8:45, 9 o'clock, something like that.
There you go. Didn't even make it to New Hampshire.
To be grand, the caucus started at 8.
Right. Well,
so it was a little bit improper of me to claim that he'd be out by 8.
Right.
Like, so, the first vote gets cast, he's like, well, I'm out. It was either 100% or nothing for me. For old Barton O'Malley.
Barton O'Malley. So, unfortunately, we won't have Martin O'Malley to kick around anymore. He's out of the race.
He's going to have to go home to his house and sit on his discount furniture and stew.
Discount furniture? The 5-finger discount furniture? Yeah. But anyway, so then...
He also... Did you hear he lent a personal loan to the campaign on, like, Friday for, like, $500,000? And all I'm thinking is, like, why even...
Do you not read your own poll numbers? What are you thinking?
That's $1 million that almost anybody else could have used.
Yeah. But no, so...
unless it was, like, closing costs.
What? Of the campaign?
Yeah.
To wrap it up? It might have been that. It might have been, I don't want to raise any more money, so here, cover my closing campaign.
Yeah. I'm just worried about Rubio. I really am.
Rubio! Oh!
I'm just...
Walk down to the Baltimore Corner.
Where you get the straight to?
We at the top of the list would be Adnan Syed's PCR post-conviction relief hearing. Occurred at the end of last week and is probably going on as you're listening to this on Tuesday because it was extended to Monday, but I doubt they finished by Monday. So
yeah, they probably keep going.
Yeah, and I think the judge has been good about whatever time we need, however much time we need, we're going to take it. So
now, from a legal standpoint,
sure,
seeing as you have a fancy degree in that,
sure.
Do you imagine that either way this ends up in an appeal?
Yes, both ways it ends up in appeal.
Yeah.
Because it'll be, if it's denied, there's an automatic appeal because the only reason he got a hearing was because the Court of Appeals ordered that he get a hearing. So my understanding, at least, is that it would then automatically go back for review to the court that issued the order for the hearing. If he's granted a new trial, the state will most likely appeal because this is what the assholes at the state do. Whether it's Manitowoc County or Baltimore City, they keep just defending bad decisions.
Right.
To the end.
So there's no chance you think that they just like let it go.
Well, I think there's a chance that at the end they let it go. That whenever it goes up on appeal and then they appeal upwards to the Court of Appeals and it's sent down and they said, nope, new trial now, that they just don't give him a new trial. And I think there's a good chance that the court may give him a release pending appeal because the appeal can take 18 months. So if he is going to get a new trial, and if the impression of the Court of Special Appeals is we're going to uphold that new trial, they may release him on bail. Withhold the passport and all that stuff.
Right.
Release him on like some ungodly amount of bail, which apparently the Free Adnan Syed Fund has. So, good.
Yeah.
Put it all up there. But it will go up on appeal, and my guarantee is that either way it will, and it'll probably end up in the Court of Appeals, most likely because the state will continue to appeal it. And at what point are we just going to say, how much money do we waste to keep this kid in jail?
Right.
The judge who heard the original case, who denied PCR the first time, is now saying, you're right, there is enough here. This is the guy who has been anti-Adnan from the beginning. Well, I don't want to say anti-Adnan, but convicted him and then denied him relief at every step of the way.
Right.
Has now changed his mind. At which point do you say, how much money are we going to waste to just try to keep this old bad judgment in place? But that's the way our system works.
Yeah.
They don't have to appeal. They don't have to do that at all, but they do. But good news on that front, though, because at the 0 hour, we have a new candidate for Baltimore mayor.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. DeRay McKesson has joined the Baltimore mayoral race.
Yeah.
In a surprise.
Well, now, you're a lot more familiar with him than I am.
Yeah.
Seeing as you're on the cutting edge of the movement.
Am I? I didn't realize I was on the cutting edge of the movement.
Well, you've been more involved in the movement than I have.
Yeah. So DeRay has gotten some notoriety for being a very public voice in the Black Lives Matter movement and what was before the Black Lives Matter movement. Basically, since like Mike Brown and even stuff that happened before that, he's been a very vocal component. He's gotten invited on CNN a lot, and all the news networks a lot, and he basically gave a lot of racist assholes the what for. So he's got greater reach because of who he is.
Yeah.
And he says he has a plan to fix things, and his plan is, I've talked with several people, and this is what we've come up with. I don't have the answers, but I've gone to people who know, and we formulated a plan, and here's the plan. So DeRay, if you need somebody to work on your campaign... I'm just saying I'm available. I don't live in the city now, but I could, and I'd love to vote for you if you gave me a job and moved me to the city.
You know what else is everything?
What is?
OhTheAnthem.com, Cory to OhTheAnthem.com, Oh The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
And make sure you check out robertncheek.com for you can find all the information there. Make sure you follow me on all social networks at Robert N. Cheek. And on that website, you can also find links to the books that are available on Amazon, the 2 that are available now, and then soon to come at least 2, maybe 3 more in 2016. I'm going to have a lot of time to write soon, so I'm going to be looking forward to getting some writing done.
All right. Well.
But also, watch out for the GoFundMe page. I'll be posting that. I need your money. Help me out.
Don't be that person. All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But after all, as always, God, I'm losing it. As always, this has been the Oh The Anthem podcast, part of the Oh The Anthem digital network. For Cory, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody. Rubio!